Hey, everybody. It's great to see you. I'm not sure if the technology is working, but let's give this a go. How's that?
You're awesome. You're going great. Yeah, you're live. You are on.
Well, thank you for your patience while we get finished setting up here. I appreciate that. Let me get back to the screen here. They cannot hear me. They cannot hear me. Hi, folks. Can you hear me now? I'm looking for a little feedback. Anyway,
hi, Jane.
Great to see. Hey, Beth, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think it's going really good. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
super.
Yoo-hoo!
Well, then let me just say thank you so much for being here. My name is Jane Mudgett. This is a super day for me. We are live here talking about Five Alive, my new book, and welcome to all my friends. We should have a live stream going, and I wanted you to know we have a special promotion. We have it set up on Instagram that 10 people can get a new book, a new book. Just go to @JaneMudgett, and that's at Instagram, and put your name in there. Let us know. And at the end of our live stream, we'll ask each of the winners to DM me with your contact information. So it's our Instagram giveaway @JaneMudgett. Today, we have friends here. It's a super day. Where would you like to start, Beth? We have Kathy Taylor. Hey!
Hey,
Look at Kathy Taylor has tabs in her book. She's done her homework.
I spent the afternoon outside on this beautiful day rereading this book, and I want to say thank you first of all for doing it. And I don't know how you could have predicted in the beginning of the book what you said, which was so much of the world we can't control. That's where we are today.
Yeah,
Thank
it feels that way.
Writing this guide for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, that's one of the things that is my personal philosophy: control what you can. And we're doing this every day now.
Well, so Jane, I've always known you as a hard-charging business executive, a finance professional. I mean, somebody who worked more hours maybe than they should have, and I relate to that, as you might know.
Right.
So the parts of the book that really spoke to me were the parts about fitness, friends, and fun, because I feel like during my business career, I put those on hold. So I'd like to know what made you pivot to understand that those need to be a priority in your life.
Well, I think that's a great comment, and it's true, because I was like nose down working all the time. And really, I looked around at a lot of the professionals around me, and all they were doing was working. Their families and relationships and marriages may have been second. Their interactions and friendships were going by the wayside. They didn't have hobbies and interests. There were a lot of people around me that wouldn't even retire because they didn't know what to do. They thought they would die on the vine. And so, I had cancer. My mom died of lung cancer. I said, it's not worth it. I mean, it just really isn't worth it, Kath. There's got to be another way than to die in your own job.
And so what caused you to, well, what was the first thing you did to pivot to, and which one of these was most important to you of the Five Alive?
Well, fun I've got down. I mean, I've done that even better than I did in the past, but that I still had a strength in that. But my weak link was the other category. So financially, I was working that professionally. I started providing some workshops and seminars for women, And I thought they would relate most to fitness, finance, and food. So I actually called it food, fitness, and finance, because everybody's telling us how we need to look, how we need to diet, how we need to eat. And so that's what kicked it off. And I did that for a number of years, and it hit home. And I thought there still has to be more. And there was a lot of research about relationships and how it impacts us now in our personal happiness, but also our longevity. And I kept doing that research on aging and health and wellness, but nobody was talking about fun. So if we need relationships, no one was sharing with us how to build those relationships, how to have hobbies and interests and human contact, and how to relearn how to meet people when we're not working or when we're not using our kids to meet people. So that's how it evolved.
Well, I can tell you that I wish I'd read it 20 years ago. I'm not 40 anymore, but I'm reading it now, and I've marked the areas that I'm going to improve on right now. So thank you.
Really? Do you want to share any of your personal action items?
Well, I'd say the fun part, definitely. Okay. I do have fun with my grandkids, but sometimes I think that and my friends, but I think sometimes I don't put that as a priority. And so fun is going to be my number one priority. I'm pretty good on fitness and finance,
right?
But, and food, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's the friends and fun that I have let go by the wayside, and I've got specific tasks that I'm going to take to make some small changes to make a difference. So thank you.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's really common, particularly with professional women. Yeah.
Agree.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thanks
Have
for
fun. Have fun.
Okay,
great. So I think fun is a challenge for lots of people. It just means continually trying new things. I know many of us are physical distancing, but it means reading different things, going online and seeing different videos. Heck, after 2 weeks in quarantine, I got to look at a YouTube video to figure out how to put mascara on again. But, seriously, it may mean that now's the time, after we get through this lull and getting used to things, that we do reach out to our friends. We do try some new things as well. So Beth, what's up next? Whoa, Robert Babcock. Now, Robert Babcock fills the fun category for me. I mean, I would say when you and I are together, that is dangerous. There's a lot of words and there's a lot of laughing.
Absolutely. Jane, I think I speak on behalf of many people, but we are so proud of you and your personal discovery and your personal journey and the culmination of that, which is really just getting started. I got to tell you that there's 2 Tulsans of the year that are on here. Today, and I feel so honored to be a part of this crew, but I think you've made Tulsan of the year right now. And there's a couple of observations that I've had with the book, and then I have a question or two for you as well. Okay. First of all, you got to talk to us about the Mudge Nudge. What is Mudge Nudge?
Well, Mudge Nudge, I brought a prop. So a big part of the book is based on nudge theory. And there's a lot of research on this. You can see it online. I think it was American Scientific that has a really good article. And essentially what we're doing in the world of behavioral science is to agree that it takes small incremental changes over a long period of time to change our behavior. So if you just nudge your way, just a little tap, but in a positive way, we can make some of those adjustments. So for me, what that means is if I open my pantry right at eye level are the healthy foods. The same for my fridge. It means financially that I do keep an eye on my savings, and I automatically make contributions to retirement plans and my emergency savings. It does mean that from a fun time or friends, I actually put in my calendar when I need to call somebody, get out of the box, do something different. So the nudge theory is out there in the world, but you know, when you got a name like Mudgett and your nickname is Mudge, you might as well make it work.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's all in the book too.
Right. The thing that I love about the Mudge Nudge, is I think this is the first book that I have seen on leadership or even so much as self-help or self-awareness, in that it's not telling me what I have to do. It's not telling me what I should do. It's what I should consider.
Right.
And you're just merely putting something out there to consider. And the thing I love about that is we get to take ownership of the choices we make, and you make it easy by putting it into some categories that are really front and center in everybody's life. And how did you come up with those particular categories out of all the categories you could have come up with?
Well, I like the F alliteration. I had some workshops and seminars that I mentioned just a minute ago that were on food, fitness, and finance. So since I had the 3 Fs already, I took the research on relationships and converted that into friends and family. And I really felt like fun was missing. I mean, I looked at a lot of my friends and colleagues that were over 40, and they just weren't laughing enough, and they weren't doing enough new things. And it doesn't make any difference if you're introverted or extroverted. It wasn't any of that. It was just having the 5 Fs. So it's just
Great.
the fun part. Yeah.
Well, I think one last thing that I would like to bring up is, you know, when it was released, and I actually pulled up on Amazon this morning and just scanned through it, the first thing, I skipped the part about it being geared toward women. And I know you're a big proponent of inclusion, and, you know, a human being is a human being. But I went through it and I noticed, then I went back up and looked at the cover again and noticed that you had something specifically, a title for women.
For women.
And I thought there's nothing in here that really is female oriented. This is something that I, as a male, can use, or anybody actually could use to help lead themselves.
Right.
And so would you just speak briefly about inclusion and about how, although it says it's for, you know, aimed at women, but these are principles that anybody could use?
Well, you're absolutely right. And what happened is the first version was really a gender neutral version. And in my mind, I also had or have a version for business. But I was counseled not to do that. And the reason not to have a version that was gender neutral was that men don't buy self-help books. That was the answer. That women buy self-help books, and they may even pass it on to a man, you know, on either side of their lives, but they won't buy it. So that's why I chose to make it a book for women. And I do a lot for women too. But I really do have a message that is really easily translatable to companies, that we can share that with their employees, because we know now that it's not just working all the time. We know, because we've burnt ourselves out, that we do have to be fit, and we do have to move our body and eat healthfully. And that's why executives have key person insurance. That's why they have policies from their board to be healthy, because guess what? Their stock price is dependent on the C-suite for being a good a role model for that. And so I'm ready to convert the message to one that really is to everyone. But for now, we started with women who buy self-help books. Yeah.
Well, you've made a winner out of me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Good. Pass it to all your friends then,
Independent of us
male or
having a good
female.
time, independent of us having a good time together like we always do,
Exactly.
I think this is something that's good for everyone. And lastly, what would be success for you? What would be success out of this whole thing for you?
Well, I think the first part of the success I've already really internalized, and that is I took the time to write down what was really important in my life, and that was therapeutic for me. Of course, during the editing process, we made that something that was a message for other people. So a success to me is that people have some bit, some portion of the book that becomes an action item for them where they can use their own little nudges to make these small improvements in their behavior. There's 5 sections. No one is good in all 5. We have strengths in some and soft spots in others. So I think there's a little pearl in there for everyone. I just don't know where it is. So my success is for people finding their pearl. Yeah.
Thank you for pearls of wisdom.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you. See you later. Okay. Bye. Well, I really do believe that there's something in there for everyone. And I certainly continue to have the challenge with getting up, moving my body, even with my trainer in the living room, even getting on the trails, even doing virtual workouts via FaceTime is what I'm doing. So my personal action plan is to continue to move my body, particularly since ski season is over. What do we have next, Beth? Jeff Martin, woohoo! I saw you on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quarantined still, though. Are you off the
No,
quarantine?
I busted out yesterday. I busted out in 13 days.
How does it feel?
No,
How do you feel?
no,
How's it feel to be free?
the first thing that I did was take a hike out of Turkey Mountain. I said, I don't care how muddy it is. It felt awesome. I mean, we've been using just the boundaries of our yard. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on the book. It feels like we've been talking about the book for a long time. And we're here. We made it. Today's the day. So
today's the day.
How's it feel? Like, just, in terms of just a personal accomplishment, how does that feel for you?
I mean, it's huge. Most people who know me know that patience is not one of my particular strong points. So my husband said to me, like, even I can't believe it, that I sat down and every day after work for 4 months, I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And then one day it was done. And that was probably a big day in the life. I, of course, was not looking forward to the editing process because I'd heard these horror stories. But I have to say that was fantastic for me, too. I did 2 levels of editing, and both of my coaches' editors were phenomenal. And you weren't one of my editors, but you were certainly one of the cheerleaders on the side and we started a year and a half ago talking about this, I think in a coffee shop or Magic City Books. Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions. One was this.
Okay.
I was telling someone about the book, and they mentioned something like you said, that I'm not really into self-help books. That was kind of, I think some people think that, and they don't really know what they want.
Right.
And I think a lot of the reason for that is because people think the person who wrote it is kind of a know-it-all busybody. They don't, it's like they're trying to tell me how to live my life, but they don't understand that you weren't always like this, and you had to go through a lot of things to get here. Can you talk about a little bit about maybe the moments in your life that kind of were some pivotal parts that kind of led you to this place?
Well, I remember paying $200 a month for rent, and it was hard to make that rent. That was a long time ago, but uh, there are a couple of stories. I think the big story for me is that many folks don't know that I was quite heavier than I am now, well over 200 pounds. And I had to really work on blood sugar and eating better, not just for my self-esteem, but for my health. And so that was a big change. It wasn't as much that I had cancer and I had a cancer survive. I was a cancer survivor, but the doctors never said I had to change my behavior, and I thought that was odd. And so that was a pivotal point too, where I thought I need to move more. I need to eat better. I need to think about ways to managing my stress and calm down. Those were some key areas that I think were pivotal for me, because all I did was work, really.
Yeah.
And I was a good worker.
Yeah, I know a little bit. I know a little bit about that kind of constant
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So one of the things we talked about a lot was the idea that you were trying to build a brand. That's some of the hardest thing to do when you're kind of entering this arena and you're coming at it from maybe a place where, you had this other life where you were doing this job, and now you're kind of entering this new world. Building some trust amongst your readers and all these people is a big part of that.
Right.
Do you see this as kind of one of the first big steps? This is obviously not an endpoint. This is the beginning of something. So
Right.
talk about the journey of creating. I hate the word brand sometimes, but
No, I know what you mean, but we become a brand, and I have some great partners at Exceptional Leaders Lab, so I'm associated with terrific people there. But then I have just Jane Mudgett that was transitioning away from a world of financial planning and a financial advisor for 15 years. And it was really hard to say goodbye to that and change that brand of Jane to Jane Coach, to Jane who wanted to be more of an encourager and motivator, and have that message in the book, so that, as you alluded to, it wasn't judgmental. It wasn't, in your face what to do. It was truly, in one of these areas, there were some strengths and some soft spots that we need to work with. So I think it was a couple of things. My mom died of cancer. That was a big thing. Looking around my office environment over the years and seeing people working way too much and realizing I didn't want that. I needed a different future. So those were a few of the pivotal points to lead me to this path. Yeah.
What was the hardest part about writing the book in terms of actually just getting it done? Are you someone who needs someone to kind of stay on you about that? Are you a good enough self-motivator to get on it and do it every day?
I gotta say, it was a freak of nature. I just did it. I sat down, I wrote this book. I had I had three of the chapters sort of in my mind, because I did the food, fitness, and finance workshops for women. So that I had down. I sat down, I wrote for 4 months. And after that, I was at the writing coach for another 3 or 4 months. And he told me what to do, and I just did it. I mean, I was like a hamster on a wheel. I don't know what got a hold of me. I'm sure some things in my life fell by the wayside, but I was just self-motivated and driven to get it done, because I knew if I put it down, I was scared to death that I would never pick it up again. I mean, I had a fear of not completing, and I didn't want to have that regret.
So I'm guessing this is going to be the first book of many books. Do you already kind of have in mind some of what's next, maybe, without giving too much away?
I have 2 in my brain, one of which I already alluded to with Robert Babcock, and that is to have a Five Alive message for employers and employees as a way to do a better job recruiting and retaining. It ties in with leadership some, and I'm very interested in that whole area of leadership, longevity, and lifestyle. And then the second one, I can't figure out how to title it, but I really would like to do more personally and interview folks that have done a really good job in this time of before they retire and right after. So it's that 5-year window before, or maybe it's 1 or 2 years and a few years after. You know, we're just not doing a good job of that. And I'm trying to scour the country, or my goal is to scour the country and find these role models who've done it right, who aren't like multi-billionaires, that are just regular folks like us trying to earn a living, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my last question would be this. You know, we were expecting to do this event at Magic City Books.
I
We were
know.
having a big party, and get life intervened, and here we are.
Yeah.
What do you think is one of the big takeaways? You know, whether it's getting cancer or anything, the things in life that usually throw us off track are things we never expect to happen, just like this. What's something people could take away? And this will be kind of, like I said, my last question for, how to deal with the inevitable, unexpected, bad things or challenging things that happen in life.
You know, I'm maybe the wrong person to ask. I will share that 2 of the things I do really well, I'm a Pollyanna optimist. I mean, really, I will always look for the silver lining. I have a few minutes where I'm down, and then I will shake it off. I'm very resilient. I've worked in 4 different industries. I've been hired and fired and renamed and laid off and found a new job. And I really think that that's my secret. That's my secret sauce of just being flexible, getting off the dust, and just moving on. So I am delighted that my father gave me his optimism, and the resiliency I think I just earned. I really do.
Yeah, well, you earned all that success. Congratulations. So
Thank you. I think you're terrific.
Right,
See
bye.
you later.
All
Okay,
right.
bye. Well, here we are, ready to wrap up. Soon I'll be getting the award winners from our Instagram contest, if we have any. I have a couple of books to give away. As I say, I always think it's a good book. What I really need you to do is to get on Amazon, download the ebook, which is the Kindle version, and take a look at it and see if there is something for you. I really would like to think that there is. So I'm going to get on my phone and I am going to get the winners. Okay, you ready? Pay attention. Susan Smith, I owe you a book. You're going to have to DM me later with your address. Marisol Palos, besos, Marisol. And A. Palos. I don't know who A. Palos is, but I'm sure I can figure that out. Melissa Stevens, Saraya Camo. Oh, hey, Gibby. Well, mini Gibby. Wade Watkins, Jeff DeGarmo, Amanda Lair, Charity Jones, Ted Adams. These are my friends. I'm so glad that you made a post on Instagram. I will ship you a book tomorrow. And I really will tell you that I believe in the dedication of my book, and my dedication is to love. So let's wrap up. From me to you, thank you. Have a terrific evening. Thanks so much for joining me, and live more. Take care. Bye-bye.